I don't need fake mom's apples. Send something more useful.
Emily's words pierced my heart. She's right, I'm not her real mother. But I've poured my love into it nonetheless. Now, I send apples every month to help my 4 grandchildren grow. I knew I wasn't appreciated, but her words were harsh.
Well then, take care, sweet mom,
Emily said, hoping for something more useful than apples, and cheerfully ended the call. Emily's pampered tone sent shivers down my spine.
Sweet mom, huh? After repeatedly saying I'm a stranger, she shouldn't just play the daughter card when it suits her.
I'm done being a fake mom. Now, what's more useful than apples? Oh, I know. I'm Susan Foreman, 53 years old. Celebrating another lively Christmas. Usually, it's just me and my husband John in our quiet home, but it's a special day when our daughter's family visits. Our only daughter, Emily, is 32 and has 4 kids. The eldest is 13, followed by 9, 7, and 6-year-olds. All adorable girls. When Emily announced she was pregnant right before graduating high school, we were worried. She skipped community college, got married, and had her first child. John had mixed feelings about Emily marrying so young. But Emily's words softened his heart.
I fell for a guy as kind as Dad. I'm still a kid, I don't know about raising one. Dad, Mom, you'll help me, right?
No parent wants to abandon their child. We did our best to support her postpartum. Now, Emily's 4 children have grown into well-mannered, gentle kids, who say in unison with beaming smiles, "Thank you, Grandpa and Grandma," when receiving their Christmas gifts.
Well, let's have Mom keep the gifts.
Emily quickly collects the gifts, leaving the kids looking a bit sad. Emily's husband, Michael, is 5 years her senior. He seemed unreliable at first, just starting his job, but now he's a respectable working professional.
We're just a plane ride away.
Michael leaves Emily and the kids in their hometown, relocating alone across the US for work. It's tough. I only see Michael 2 or 3 times a year. Emily leans on Michael's shoulder. Despite being in front of parents and kids, they get a bit bold after a few drinks. You say that, but you probably enjoy it more when I'm not around.
No way. I want to be with my beloved Michael all the time. Where's your next transfer? I hope it's close.
Emily, you're still so cute. Their affection for each other is almost embarrassing to witness. But the first 3 years of their marriage were tense. Emily returned home more than once saying, "I'm divorcing him," after trivial fights. Their relationship improved after Michael started working away from home. Being apart means you're kinder on the rare occasions you meet. That's probably why they had 3 more kids after he started working away. Since Michael started working away from home, they've had 3 more grandkids. Just when the joyous Christmas gathering was wrapping up, the youngest, Nene, blurted out, "I want a sleepover at Grandma's."
Sure thing. Stay over, stay over. Can you kids handle it alone? Grandpa's got the holiday off, so I'll be around.
John beamed. Opposite to the kids' excitement, Emily looked displeased.
But you probably don't want to deal with noisy kids during your rare break, right? It's a hassle, we should go home.
It's fine. I got this.
No, but you're all about work, Dad. You're not used to dealing with kids, are you?
Nene looked at me pleadingly.
Emily, I'll help with the kids, it'll be fine. Plus, they're good kids, not much trouble.
What? Exactly. Let us have some quality time with the grandkids for once. We hardly see them. Emily, you need a break from the kids and work more than anyone. Why don't you and Michael enjoy some alone time?
Ah, thanks.
Emily finally agreed, but her eyes weren't smiling. It's been a while since we had a sleepover. Emily's place is just a 10-minute walk from ours, but I haven't been there in almost 10 years. She doesn't visit with the kids either, too busy with work. They only show up as a family during Christmas season and New Year's when Michael's home from his transfers. I excitedly headed to prepare the beds, and Emily followed me.
Don't overdo it.
She warned me suddenly from behind.
Don't ask the kids things like "What does Mom do at work?" or "What do you usually eat?" I don't want strangers prying into my family life.
Seems like she's aware it'd be awkward if I heard about their home situation. I just nodded. Then Emily extended her right hand. A handshake? What's this about? As I puzzled over it, Emily smirked.
It's a rental fee for the kids.
$200's fine.
What? They're not objects.
Then I'll take them back.
Tell them Grandma doesn't want them to sleep over. That she finds taking care of them a hassle. That they're a nuisance. Is that what I should say?
Please, don't.
The kids would be sad. They'd start disliking Grandma. Dad might think you're terrible too.
Intimidated, I saw Emily extend her hand again. I reluctantly pulled out a $200 bill from an envelope in my dresser.
What? That's not enough.
Emily snatched the envelope from my hand after taking the $200.
It's $200 per kid. So, I'll take $800. Lucky me for having so many adorable kids. I can't just lend them out cheaply to strangers.
Her emphasis on strangers cut deep. Emily and I were strangers. I met John at work. He was an enigma, competent yet never joining important projects, always leaving on time. Later, I found out he was a single father. His frequent absences made sense then. His first wife passed away, leaving him to raise Emily, then in elementary school, alone. I was drawn to John's serious and kind nature, and I made the first move to start a relationship with him. However, he initially refused to marry me, considering his daughter's sensitive age. It was just like John to be so conscientious. But as our relationship progressed, Emily herself encouraged us towards marriage, saying, "I want you to be my mom."
You know, I was always envious of my friends who had moms. I'm so happy to have a mom too. My mom. My own special mom. I love you.
Emily, who was 9 years old at the time, became very attached to me. She was naturally affectionate. She wasn't the type to bottle up her feelings, so I believed we could get along well, almost like a real mother and daughter. But once we started living together, I realized she wasn't as patient as I had thought.
Mom, your homemade hamburgers taste awful. I can't eat this. Let's go to a diner.
Was this already the rebellious phase at 9 years old? Her harsh words surprised me. Since Emily had become so attached to me, I quit my job to become a full-time homemaker, leaving John relieved to focus on his work. But when it was just Emily and me, she transformed from a sweet young girl to a person with a tough character. Since there was no blood relation, it seemed wrong to hold back, so I calmly asked her.
Did it taste bad? What didn't you like about the hamburger? A hamburger with just ketchup on it? That's unimaginable. Oh, did you take shortcuts because I'm just a kid? It should be like a restaurant, with demi-glace sauce. This kid's trick hamburger, it's okay to throw it away, right? No. Don't waste food. Besides, I worked hard to make something Emily would enjoy.
Emily sneered at my desperate attempt to be a mother.
If I worked hard to make mud pies, would you eat them? That's hilarious. Emily, what are you saying? Then, let's go to a diner, Mom.
Emily was scary. In the end, she would always cling to me affectionately, and I would shiver. This went on for about 20 years. She only showed her true nature in front of me. Other than that, Emily was always a good girl. For John, she has always been his precious daughter, unchanged in the past and now. I thought it was just because we had just become a family, or it was her rebellious phase, or her adolescence. I had believed that Emily's attitude would soften over time, but that day never came. I, too, had thought about having a child with John. However, I couldn't help but feel that bringing another sibling into this situation wouldn't be a positive thing for Emily. I convinced myself that Emily alone was enough for me, hiding my desire for more children from John. And now, I find myself unable to speak to John about Emily's true nature. We were a family only on the surface. That's why it's unthinkable for me to intrude into Emily's family life. But Emily's children have grown fond of me, and they visit our house 2 or 3 times a week. When school ends, they come in saying, "I'm home," as if it were their own house.
I want Grandma's hamburgers. No, I want fried chicken. Ugh. I definitely want a stew. All right, no fighting. Let's play rock, paper, scissors. If you don't play, you lose. Ready?
The 4 children would have their cute quarrels. The eldest, Mimi, would organize the younger ones. They're usually quiet and understanding. But that's just a facade. In front of their parents or strangers, they're very well behaved. But with me, they show all their emotions, both happy and angry.
When one of the kids who lost at rock, paper, scissors started to cry, I said, all right, just this once, I'll make whatever everyone wants.
The children jumped for joy, saying, Grandma always says just this once, doesn't she? I'd do anything special for my adorable grandchildren. Grandma's cooking is the best.
Hey, Grandma. Mimi's hamburgers are delicious too.
Nene complimented naturally. The youngest at 6 years old, she seemed aware of her surroundings. It's good, but also sad. They're in an environment where they have to be good kids.
Really? Mimi, you're a great cook.
Hee, I have to be the mom sometimes. Mimi said shyly. The middle schooler apparently often cooks meals. As for their mother, Emily.
She's not here, Mom's away again today.
Nene said while eating. Every month, I prepare a package of apples, ready-to-eat meals. And snacks for Emily's family. They live within walking distance, so I'd prefer to deliver it myself. But Emily seems to not want to see me, and just my presence near her house annoys her. So, I have to resort to delivery services. Emily has coldly told me several times, don't bother trying to impress me with your gifts. I have no intention of letting you see the grandchildren. It's not about expecting something in return, I genuinely want to help the kids. I just want them to have enough food to eat. Emily finds it annoying, but she accepts it since it's free. One day, Emily called unexpectedly.
The apples arrived this month.
She's never once called to thank me. I couldn't help but be wary.
The contents are pretty lame, you know. The kids aren't happy with cheap supermarket snacks. Wouldn't they prefer sweets from the department store basement? Or is that beyond an old person's understanding?
Just as I thought, it wasn't a pleasant call. Emily probably wanted the department store sweets for herself.
I thought the kids would like chocolate and snack cakes. Of course, meals are important too.
Huh? What are you talking about, knowing everything? I could hear Emily's mocking laughter.
An old lady trying so hard to appeal, it's kind of pitiful. You think you can win over kids with just apples? Do you actually think you're their grandmother?
I can only imagine the twisted smile on Emily's face on the other end of the phone. Even though I don't want to imagine it, her face appears vividly in my mind.
Don't get it twisted, you're not their grandmother. After all, I'm not your daughter. We're strangers. Don't make me laugh with your pretend grandma act.
And with those words, Emily made herself clear.
I don't need fake mom's apples. Send something more useful.
I fell silent for a moment. Then Emily's tone changed, and she suddenly started expressing concern for my health.
Look, you're getting older, right, Mom? It feels wrong to have you carry big, heavy packages. If you fell and got hurt, it would be terrible. So, from now on, just send small, light envelopes. That'll be easier for you, right?
Her words sounded insincere. Thinking about something more useful than apples, one answer came to my mind.
Oh, I see what you mean now.
Once I caught on, Emily cheerfully ended the call with, "Thanks, kind mom." Emily's spoiled voice made my skin crawl. Kind mom, huh? After repeatedly saying we're strangers, I wish she wouldn't play the daughter card only when it suits her. I can't do this fake mother act anymore. I made up my mind. And the next day, the kids rushed into my house.
Grandma, help! Mom and Dad are fighting!
I was glad I had told them to come to my house in case of any trouble, to not involve them in adult disputes. I left Mimi in charge of the younger ones and hurried to Emily's house alone. It was a fairly new apartment, but I could hear a man and woman arguing loudly from outside. Hesitating for a moment, I then burst through the entrance door.
Hey!
There was no barrier between the entrance and the room. Emily, seeing me, approached with anger in her eyes.
Don't meddle in things.
Meddle? I just did what you told me to.
What?
You said it yourself. Send something more useful than apples. Something more useful than apples. That was what I sent to Michael. He must have seen it and rushed back home by plane.
So while I'm away, Emily's been having affairs.
What I sent was evidence of Emily's infidelity. Michael threw photos of Emily with another man onto the floor. In the photos, Emily leaned on the man, smiling in a way no mother would.
No wonder you didn't want to join me. You've been enjoying your time with other men. Wait, it's not what it looks like. I only love Michael. I don't know anything about these photos. Are they fake? Photoshopped?
Michael upended the envelope he was holding, scattering more photos. The floor was covered with pictures of Emily and the man. In cafes, tourist spots, and a hotel room. Their joyful faces were everywhere. Some even intimately close. Could so many photos be faked? Emily froze in shock, then began frantically gathering the photos.
Why? Why do these exist?
Of course, she was confused. These weren't taken by a detective or a third party, Emily had taken them herself. Such private photos aren't usually seen by others.
I don't understand.
Confused, Emily collected the photos, her face twitching. She then turned her anger towards me.
These are from my phone. Did you sneak into my house and look through it? What, did you sneak in at night and mess with my phone? That's creepy. You're like a thief. That's a crime, you know.
She glared at me with contempt. The photos were indeed from her phone.
My phone's photos, huh? So, you're admitting they're real by saying that?
Emily stopped. And clenched her teeth in frustration.
No, no, no! Michael, you know she's not my real mom, right? She's been bullying me since I was a kid. It's scary how she's still doing these awful things. Michael, don't believe her. Everything she says is a lie. Believe me.
She switched to a tearful strategy. Weakly reaching out to Michael.
A real mother wouldn't do something so awful. You wouldn't accuse me of cheating and corner me with lies. Aha.
Finally, Emily let out large tears.
I've always suffered. Don't believe anything that cruel fake mother says.
Faced with a woman crying bitterly, even Michael seemed to lose his earlier momentum. Emily's wailing echoed throughout the room. Then, suddenly, the front door opened.
The fake one is, in fact, you, Mom.
Mimi stated firmly as she entered. With Nene behind her. Though I had told them to wait at home, they apparently couldn't stay put. Emily's crying ceased abruptly.
Huh? I'm obviously your real mother.
Mimi shook her head slightly.
Maybe you gave birth to us, but you never did anything motherly. You were always too busy with men, hardly ever at home. That's what a fake mother is. What? How dare you talk back? Then how did you survive? Who do you think took care of you?
The children all had healthy, rosy cheeks. But that wasn't thanks to Emily.
It's been Mimi taking care of the kids, hasn't it?
I found myself saying almost unconsciously.
Mimi, still just a middle schooler, has been great at looking after the younger ones as an older sister. She always prepares the meals. The cleaning and laundry are done by all the kids together. They're all so responsible. Don't talk as if you know everything. I do know.
Emily didn't know that the kids often visited my house. To avoid complications, not only I but even the young kids kept it a secret. John, usually returning home late from work, didn't notice. This was a secret between me and the kids. I wished I could have done more for them, but Emily would definitely reject it. The last thing I wanted was to meddle and have her confine the kids. So, they only relaxed at my house when Emily was absent. Realizing the truth, Emily exploded in anger.
Don't do whatever you want. It's kidnapping. You've kidnapped them. The kids just couldn't say no. Don't involve them in your play acting. Mom, stop it.
Mimi interjected. She looked at Emily sadly, her voice strained.
We belonged at Grandma's place. You never did anything for us, so don't act like a mother now. You know, it was me who found the photos on Mom's phone. What? I took the photo data and gave it to Grandma. What? You betrayed me? That's the worst.
Emily scorned Mimi. I couldn't help but slap Emily on the cheek.
The worst one here is you, Emily.
Emily, who enjoyed affairs without fulfilling her motherly duties, had no right to blame Mimi. If the kids hadn't relied on me, they would have continued to suffer quietly at home. Always hungry and lonely. Emily's ignorance of this horror was infuriating. Emily held her cheek, wide-eyed. In the sudden silence, the partially opened front door creaked. Emily. There stood John, about to cry.
Dad.
Emily, what is this? You neglected Mimi and the others and had affairs?
It's not like that, it's...
There was no good excuse. John approached the stuttering Emily. Emily.
Dad, no. It's not true. Mom's lying.
Emily clung to John like a child.
You're the only one on my side, right, Dad? Please believe me. Don't be deceived by Mom.
For John, Emily was his one and only dear daughter. Tears ran down Emily's cheeks. John didn't wipe them away. So, the liar is you, Emily? The kids clung tightly to me. Emily stood alone, trembling. It was clear who was telling the truth. I was also surprised to see John there. Mimi had called him. There was a handwritten phone book next to the home phone. She had found John's office number in it and called him nervously. Mom, you were so angry, and I was worried about Grandma. Mimi explained, showing a maturity beyond her middle school years. I hugged her tightly. I had wanted to help the children. But they also acted to help me. Their bravery brought tears to my eyes. Emily, having her true nature exposed to both her husband and father, collapsed weakly onto the floor, surrounded by the incriminating photos. It was the moment her life, lived under a false pretense for 30 years, crumbled.
Do you enjoy destroying people's homes?
Emily muttered bitterly, glaring at me.
The one who destroyed the home is you, yourself.
Emily, sobbing like a child with a bright red face, received only stares from Michael and John. I moved the children to the next room to spare them from witnessing Emily's disgrace. After all, she is still their mother. They always waited at home for Emily's return. Even knowing she might not come back that night, never staying over at my place to avoid being discovered. Deep down, I think they were always hoping for their mother to return.
Michael! I was lonely without you. That's why I cheated. I only love you, I'm so sorry. I don't want to be apart anymore, I'll follow you on your work assignments. Please, forgive me.
Michael stepped back, furrowing his brow.
Your excuses sound fake, it's over. I'm filing for divorce.
Then Emily pleaded with John.
Dad, if Michael leaves me, I'll be all alone. You won't abandon me, right? It's unfair, I was just lonely.
John clenched his teeth in frustration.
The ones who were really lonely were the children.
John's low voice was heavy and solemn. Unable to hold back, I spoke up.
Alone? Emily, you have your children. Don't you ever think of them? Even if you get divorced, you can't return to being a carefree single. Raising children doesn't end just because you gave birth.
From the next room, Mimi's voice came through. Grandma, it's okay now.
Mimi, you need me, don't you? I'm sorry for everything. Mom loves you all.
Stop. Don't get it wrong. You should just go back to being single. We don't need you. Emily's realization came too late. The children had given up on her, leaving her utterly alone. Later, Emily and Michael filed for divorce, but there was a dispute over who would take the children. Emily made a shocking statement. I won't let Michael have them. He's not even related to them by blood. Mimi, the eldest daughter, is indeed Michael's child, but the others are said to be from Emily's affairs. Emily apparently wanted to claim that Michael, being a stranger, had no rights to them. I was appalled by Emily's smug expression. In the end, Michael gave up on taking the children, but Emily was hit with a substantial alimony demand.
How am I supposed to pay this huge sum?
Paying a large amount of alimony while supporting 4 children was impossible for Emily. Therefore, John and I ended up taking the children in.
Please take good care of the children.
Don't worry, leave it to us. Emily won't step foot in our house. Michael, you're welcome to visit the kids anytime. Thank you. It wasn't that he abandoned the children because they weren't his blood. Realistically, as someone frequently transferred for work, it was difficult for him to raise the kids alone, and leaving them with Emily was not an option. Thus, he orchestrated for us to take care of them. Emily was overwhelmed with her alimony payments and her own survival. Occasionally, she called wanting to see the kids, but they always immediately refused.
Mom, do something about it.
There's nothing I can do. It's the children's choice not to see you. But, Emily hesitated and mumbled, her words unclear. I waited for her next words, and then she asked, "Can't you do something about the money?" I was braced for a plea to let her see the children at all costs, so when it didn't come, I felt the tension drain from my body.
Money?
Yes, Mom.
You said over the phone that you'd send money. It's terrible that you set me up like this.
I never said I'd send money. That must have been about sending something useful. Emily, always thinking the world revolved around her, had just assumed as per her convenience.
I did send something useful, didn't I?
Huh?
Something useful for my dear grandchildren. I realized that they don't need a presence that causes them suffering, even if it's their own mother.
You're the worst.
I'm still your daughter. You've destroyed my family, the worst kind of mother. Give me back my children.
Emily still hadn't learned her lesson. From the other end of the phone, I could hear her hiccuping sobs.
I'll say it again. The one who destroyed the home and abandoned the children first was you, Emily.
She seemed lonely and desperate, clinging to the children now. She probably thought reconciling with them would also mend things with the kind-hearted John. Apparently, Emily was also deserted by her affair partner. After Michael claimed alimony from the affair partner, their relationship soured. It proved to be a trivial relationship that ended over such matters, despite being long-term. Moreover, Emily had become a guarantor for her lover's debts and was now being harassed by frightening people for repayment. Following a fight over the alimony, Emily's affair partner quickly disappeared, leaving everything on Emily's shoulders. Before this, she might have thought of getting money from me to help her beloved partner. What awaited her after this fun-filled love affair was nothing but ruin. When Michael was supporting her, Emily occasionally worked whimsical part-time jobs once or twice a month. But now, even working from morning till night and even overnight, her salary vanished in a flash due to alimony and debt payments. Tired from the divorce turmoil and debt repayment, Emily, who once looked relatively youthful, has aged significantly. With her current appearance, finding a new boyfriend also seems unlikely. There's no bright future for Emily. Meanwhile, I'm living vibrant days.
No, I want to eat hamburgers.
The well-behaved children have become quite spoiled. Nene is like a textbook example of a tantrum.
Now, Nene. We had hamburgers yesterday, remember? But they're so delicious when Grandma makes them. It's not fair, Nene always gets her way. Next time, I want to pick.
Nene's so loud. Let's go to the restaurant then. They're noisy, presumptuous, and cry easily. Every day is a headache. But I'm relieved they've become children-like. At home, they should be able to express their desires to their heart's content. But that doesn't mean all their whims will be indulged. We're not going to a restaurant on a non-Sunday. Tonight, it's stir-fried vegetables. A chorus of boos erupted. Oh, how I wanted to cover my ears. By the way, dessert is a roll cake. Suddenly, the kids jumped for joy, nearly making the floor cave in. These troublesome kids are so dear to me.